Hello, internet.
Yeah!
Hello, internet. We're back
So
with
ready.
more Kerbal Space Program. This time we're starting with a little different departure, working not with spacecraft but with high altitude balloons. Um,
Oh,
if
is this the video?
if you remember episode one, Manda asks if I could do a Felix Baumgartner thing, and I say, maybe I can.
Oh, we're gonna do it! We're gonna jump really
So I
long
set up a
distance.
basic rig here, and we end up getting to a grand height of about 12 kilometers, which is pretty okay. That's up there for sure.
That's no Felix Baumgartner though.
That's definitely not Felix Baumgartner, but I mean, we're testing the equipment. The first Baumgartner jump was from a low orbit anyway, so we'll test this. We'll test the equipment.
Whoa,
You could see the balloon there, and
this thing was huge.
I mean that was yeah no yeah that was he's just so happy falling down. And this is Aldbury Kerman. Remember that name? It'll come back a couple times in this episode.
Aldbury?
Yeah, Aldberry.
Aldbury.
You can also see one of the things I like that they added is that you can see the mission flags even on your EVA packs now. And so he comes down, and we're just kind of testing the safety equipment now.
Can Kerbals blink? Do they have eyelids?
I haven't ever looked at one long enough to see if they actually do blink if you look at them. I don't know if they have eyelids. I never considered it. I don't think they do. I think they have well, no, they do have eyelids because they can express. And well, that was a little heavy, but it turned out okay. Very tiny step for Kerbal kind. This area is very well discovered, very well studied, but you think you found a nickel. Anyway, this is our second sky jump. The first one
Sky jump. For a second I thought it said sky lump. I'm like,
sky lump.
Okay.
Anyway, that was okay. But let's see what we can do when we push the equipment to its limits.
Let's do it. Take it to the limit.
Take it to the limit. You notice
Yeah.
our buoyancy to weight ratio?
Push it to the limit.
You notice that our buoyancy to weight ratio hit something like 1200? And now we're getting negatives. And man, look at that altimeter. 29,000. 29.5. 6. 7.
It doesn't
8,
actually look like we're going anywhere.
9. Yeah, it's because we're so fucking far away. 30 kilometers.
Yeah.
30 kilometers up.
Do it. Fucking
that is,
jump out that little thing.
That is almost halfway to space. So now that we did that, let's break some records with jumps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's loud.
Yeah, extreme.
Extreme. Ah!
So this might also be our this might also be our recruitment ad, because recruitment for new Kerbonauts is kind of down. Given that a couple weeks ago there was that fatal crash of the space plane.
Woo! Come an astronaut!
Come an astronaut, jump from space!
Jump from space!
See this, get a new vantage point on life.
Get a new van!
Get a new van, ride in that shit.
Ride into space!
Ride into space!
Ah! I might have had a drink or two before this recording, internet. So.
Great, it's great.
Oh my god, look at him. Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah, I know, look, volumetric clouds.
Alderberry? Is that it?
Yeah, Aldbury Kerman doing a straight on head dive. This jump could not have gone better if I wanted it to.
So good. So proud of him.
And it goes straight into a head dive after a little bit. It stabilizes perfectly. We've been falling for 90 seconds at this point.
Give that guy a medal. Can you make a little medal for your curbs?
I think there actually is a mod that gives your guys awards. I don't know what it's called though.
Woo!
Successfully.
Too bad you couldn't have put like a target on your ground.
100.
Yeah! He's good! He's good!
We conquered the sky!
Woo!
burst of Kerbal Kai.
Oh my god. Yeah! Oh my god, did you really?
And after that, funding is up, recruitment is up to the space program.
Actually, I was gonna ask that question. Do you have to take, like, funds into consideration? Like,
Not
money and
yet.
stuff?
They're working on that. There's a thing from one of the developers saying they're working on a whole contract system.
Yeah. So I was actually thinking about that because I've recently been playing Roller Coaster Tycoon again, and if you run out of money,
yeah, it's bad news bears. Yeah, that's the thing. They're going to eventually add an economy to the game. So this is going to be probably one of the longer build sequences. I will not lie, I was kind of tired when I made this. And I was also experimenting. I installed a new mod called Infernal Robotics, which adds a whole lot of parts that turn and telescope and allow you to build collapsible spacecraft. And so I was originally going to build this is a craft that is going to land on the moon. So my original plan was to build a craft that was really condensed and then contained a lot of fuel tanks that were built into the side and would expand out after the fairing blew off. And so I discovered I couldn't do that with the parts I had. It would be too big anyway, so I just made it a very large fuel tank because I want to be able to reuse this like I'm reusing my my other lander.
Mm-hmm.
I also there was an update to the KSP Interstellar mod that gives me the orange tank and the which was the largest tank in the game. It isn't anymore because of the NASA parts. So I took that and the mainsail engine, which used to be the most powerful engine in the game, it isn't anymore because of the NASA parts. And I fitted that with 2 solid rocket boosters. And you know what? Maybe we should try going to the moon once for real. And I realized, oh yeah, I probably need an orbital injection stage.
And moon it up, man.
So I add my orbital injection stage that is a small tank with a poodle engine on it. And fix my staging, add some stabilizers, and this launch will actually turn out a lot better because the Ferrum, I updated Ferrum Aerospace again, and we have much better aerodynamics that are not as sticky as the other ones. We have less drag, so I can actually do an appropriate launch profile here. So you notice who's our pilot?
Is it? Hey! Fresh from the jump.
Fresh from the jump. So yeah, we actually are able to do a proper ascent vector now. We're not going just straight over the launch pad for 15 kilometers. We can actually start going towards the 90.
Right towards the 90s.
Yeah.
Nobody needs to go back there.
And then we kick our mainsail engine up all the way. And one of the things about the mainsail is a very powerful engine. It just overheats really fast.
All plastic chokers and strawberry jewelry.
Ugh. And mood rings and Tamagotchis.
Oh, shut up about Tamagotchis.
I love Tamagotchis. I had like 9 of them.
Really?
Yeah, no, I also had like 5 Digimon. I had it and I wore them all on a giant necklace.
That's adorable.
I know. And that necklace kept getting shorter. All right, so now we remove our ascent stage and our fairing, and you can see now we have our orbital injection stage.
Later.
And now we're going to coast from 80 kilometers to about 170 kilometers.
Just fucking coast.
Coast up in there. I turn off all the flags and all the asteroids and stuff because I have so many of them on the map that they're slowing down my game at this point.
Oh, no. How many mods you got on this? What's the final count?
As of right now, it's like 28. Actually,
it's a lot of mods.
Actually, at this point in the game, I still haven't installed all of them. There's more that will be on the next part. Because as you can see, I still haven't installed the better beautification mods that I had. So now I've circularized our orbit. So now we have to set up an intercept with the moon, which is much easier than setting up an intercept with Minmus. And I want to kind of come out ahead. I'm trying to set up a free return just in case an engine messes up or I accidentally decouple something I don't want to. So it's like the most efficient way. And I end up making this really weird orbit that I like. So I set that up.
How's it even possible?
Because I think I'm coming in under the moon, basically. My ascent vector was a little off, and so the slight slope I have, and we're coming in, sun setting, eclipsing the sun with our rocket, and the sun goes behind the planet. We go into a time acceleration. We go into an orbital sunset, And when we come out the other side of that time acceleration, guess what's waiting for us on the other side?
Is it the sun?
It's a happy little sun there.
Happy little sun.
Just
I'm ready for it.
Just happy.
I'm ready to make friends with the sun.
You can see the Terminator coming up, coming to the horizon. Sun's coming up there. Oh, there it is!
Oh, my eyes! Oh, my flesh is burning, searing flesh! Ah! This is the worst friendship.
And again, you can't see shit out that window.
Good.
One of the reasons I hadn't gone for the moon for so long was because I wanted to recover all of my science and actually get the proper lander cans that you're supposed to have. There's actually a cockpit you're supposed to use to go to the moon because it's super light and can hold a couple of guys and has enormous windows so you can see everything out in front of you. And I don't have that yet, so I have to keep using the same like Mercury capsule.
Why don't we have that yet?
Because it's one of the more advanced parts and I don't have enough science to unlock it.
Whatever, we're going to the moon the hard way. Not because it's easy, but because it's hard.
Yeah, we do these things not because they are easy, but because they are hard. We do these things and the other thing. And okay, so we enter the moon's sphere of influence, and we set up a burn to actually get into an orbit. I transfer some fuel out from my orbital injection stage because I want to hang on to that and not leave a dead husk of rocket intersecting in orbit around the moon for all eternity.
Yeah.
So, and I realized as long as I have this engine, I can just put fuel into it. So we begin our orbit burn there, and while we do that, while we're waiting for that to happen, let's cut back to our science team on Minmus, who've just finished their first day on the planet and are now spending the first night.
Hello, ladies.
Apparently, they never slept.
They're just too excited to be here.
And we get a sunrise on Minmus too. So now that the sun's up, time to they're so excited. So excited.
It's cute little freckles.
So now that the sun's up and we can see most of the planet again. Let's go to the other places we haven't explored yet. Do a little bit more science. Let's fall off the. Nobody saw that. Got in there. We're gonna take off. Danrick's gonna go. We're gonna try and find the Minmusian Highlands today, and also some slopes. I actually I did a little geologic searching and found out that there's like 9 or 10 biomes on Minmus. I've only found 4 so far.
What do you mean by biomes?
I mean there's
something that's not ice.
Well, there's all these different places of different latitudes and whatever, and you can get different science readings depending on which ones you go to. So like the poles are a biome, the flats are a biome, and we started running into problems with the hoppers. They ran out of fuel, so we had to start incorporating more unconventional ways to get them back home.
What are you doing?
And so this one, again, we have more difficulties with fuel. I'm trying to... The camera decided to change for some reason. So I ran and I started trying to do a correction burn and realized, oh, why did the rocket stop decelerating? Oh, I'm out of fuel.
Oh no.
So we have the Hopper 2 in orbit. So we have to make some daring maneuvers to recover this situation. Fortunately, as I said before, the Kerbals can get into orbit with their jetpacks. So we're going to have to ditch Hopper 2. We have all of the science gathered off of the Mystery Goo container and the Science Junior.
Why is reality doing what it's doing right now?
What?
Your camera, why is it flipping the fuck out?
I'm honestly not sure. I think it's because of how I'm passing over the equator. And it keeps trying to switch. It's on auto mode, so it keeps trying to switch between orbital and some other kind of mode. And so we have enough pack fuel that we're able to slow our descent to get into a ballistic trajectory. And actually, we have enough fuel, and Minmus's gravity is so low that I can actually correct and start going back towards the base.
Just drift back down onto the planet.
So
like a flower.
And you see there's a brief pause there as it has to load in all the models. And so we overshoot it again, but that's fine because we have so much pack fuel that we can actually correct our burn and we can get back to the base without ever touching the ground.
Delicate space flower.
And
drifting softly through the space wind.
I am a space leaf on the space wind. Watch how I space. And so we enter there, and yep, that's stuck in orbit for all. Although its orbit's pretty low, so and maybe in a couple of revolutions of the planet, it'll hit a mountain or something. And so we have Bob going out, trying to find the highlands, because those are an important. Those are the last major biome that we can find that we haven't explored yet. So Bob is actually out there. The hopper is now in orbit, looking for the highlands biome, so we can decelerate and touch down because we just don't have enough fuel to go hopping from place to place. We do Grand Master hop.
The biggest hop.
The biggest hop. You see how many flags I have on the planet?
Yeah.
Because every place I touch down at, I'm like, I've touched down in so many places and planted a flag at all of them to let me know what was there.
Did we talk about, like, colors? Like, can you paint your rockets?
You can't paint your rockets, at least not without, like, modding the textures. But, I mean, for the most part, that's realistic. It's hard to control your movements in the low gravity. But for the most part, that's realistic because most rockets, the only reason they're painted is paint is heavy. So the only reason you'd paint it is to either reflect or absorb sunlight. So rockets are painted either white or black.
Okay.
Most of the time, they're it's a singular flag because there can be only one. And most of the time, you won't even see, like, most times things aren't even painted because they're covered in a layer of micrometeor shielding, which is usually a multi-insulated. Oh yeah, the ice up here has a very high reflectivity, which must contribute to the high albedo of Minmus.
Minmus has got a high albedo?
Yes. And so like things like the Soyuz, like that looks like it's covered in a whole bunch of wrinkly plastic, and that's because it is. It's covered in like 40,
That's because it is.
That's because it's covered in like 40 layers of insulated mylar for micrometeoroid protection and also for thermal insulation. And insulated or aluminized mylar is basically the same thing that party balloons are made out of.
Yeah.
I guess you'd know that working at a craft store.
Yes, I would.
So, yeah, basically every satellite and every Soyuz craft is covered in basically 40 overlapping like party balloons.
Just 40.
That is, yeah, like actually it might be 40 and then a slight layer of micrometeoroid shielding and then another 40. So you know
sure it's not 99?
No, it's not 99 balloons, and none of them are red. So we take this hopper nearby, we touch it down.
I can only identify so much, man.
And I noticed that it keeps rocking, and that's because I actually touched down a little too hard. One of the things I discovered when I was bringing the other hopper back in the very unconventional way that I did, that it is possible to break these legs. They just don't look like they're broken when you break them. So all that science completed. This is the point. So, like I said, this rocket was constructed when I was kind of tired, and I realized at this point, I did not install a life support system on this.
Oh God, is he dead?
No, he's still alive.
No,
you notice the food, water, and oxygen are under half.
Oh, what are we gonna do?
So the life support system, by default, it comes with a day of life support of supplies. So basically, on the way there, he went into his snack drawer and said, "There's a lot less in here than there should be." And got to Mission Command, and Mission Command's like, "Oh yeah, we thought we forgot something."
Oh shit, the granola bars, man. Oh, I was just really hungry, and once I have one, you gotta feed one to the whole staff. So
you gotta share it with everyone. And this is also a rare case where I'm kind of drifting along with my orbital injection stage for a while. And it's not actually moving too far away because the decoupler strength isn't that strong, so we actually stay within like a kilometer of it for most of the descent here.
So what are we gonna do about his food, water, and oxygen though? Like,
well, so it only takes a couple of hours to get from Kerbin to the moon.
Okay, so we can just get him back for dinner.
Yeah. So the issue with this, one of the issues with this is because this is supposed to be a reusable vehicle. I have not outfitted this with a heat shield or parachutes.
Oh God! What?
It's okay though. I have a plan. But first, we're gonna go to the moon. We're gonna do some moon science.
What?
We're gonna land on this moon. We're gonna land triumphantly.
I'm so worried about him.
He jumped from 30 kilometers off of a giant balloon.
Yeah, I know, and he's gonna starve in space. That's a bitch way to go.
No, we still have 44% of the goo begins to data expunged. The fine dust is in her. You have a feeling they'll never be able to get the lab clean again. Goo seems to have gotten dirty. Did anyone bring a duster? You begin to indicate concerns regarding whether or not the landing was an elaborate hoax, and then Mission Control tells you to shut up. You find out the moon is not made of cheese. Mission Control is very sad. And now to make one small step. Oh, nope.
All right, later. Nope. Low blood sugar.
Yeah, he didn't get his granola on the way to the moon. And you can see his moon bounce.
Look at him go.
So, we take some time to revel. Something you're going to say, you spent the entire trip over here and then you forgot it.
Aww.
And the crater appears to be made of breccia and other molten metals. Aldbury Crater.
Aldbury, come on.
From the top of the Kerbin atmosphere to the bottom of the moon's seas, truly I have seen all places. And so, with that flag planted and our science collected, we begin a very hasty leaving the moon. Due to that part of us maybe not having enough food or air. So, again, just like Minmus, the moon is very easy to take off from. I pretty much pitch over about 10 seconds into the flight and end up, you can see the regolith there. It's fine and powdery. And we start setting up our encounter. Now, I don't want to do a full aero capture like I did last time, so I need to set... So for a while here, I worked to try and set my apoapsis, or my periapsis, to about 50 kilometers, because that's a point where I'll catch some air and that'll slow me down, and it definitely won't drag me into the atmosphere and prevent me from escaping.
It definitely won't do that?
Yeah, it definitely is not going to do that. It's too high to even get re-entry heating. So anyway, and we pass one of our crashed probes. And there's the sunrise again. So many sunrises this episode.
Have I done enough screaming into the mic for one episode?
You might have.
I'm sorry. You get Liquor in me, expect me to talk about dirty things, but no, I just scream.
So we set up another picturesque shot of the craft eclipsing the sun almost as we do our burn. So our plan here is that, like I said, I intended this to be reusable, and so we have the Bill Kerman space station in orbit around Kerbin. So I'm going to set this up. I'm going to set our periapsis to get a little lower, to get within about 50 kilometers, like I said before, and also do a very quick burn. You can see our fuel, you can see our supplies trickling down. We're down to below 30% of our rations.
It's gonna come in like right under the wire.
We're at 17% of our rations.
Oh my god.
As we we're about to hit, we just hit the atmosphere. We're at 60 kilometers. We're seeing if you look at the flight engineer, you can see our periaps starting to decrease 10 kilometers. It's not quite decreasing enough though.
Oh no. He's not gonna make it, is he?
We're hitting about 9 kilometers, so we are slowing down, but it was shallower than I wanted. Maybe we can grab some environmental science, though, and no. But we did realize that the mission control does remind us that we forgot to eat lunch. Thanks. Thanks to big old bag of dicks.
by the way.
And because this tuna sandwich is great. So now we got to get back in the craft.
Your mom packed it and everything. Oh, I guess you don't need it because you're in space.
So, okay, but fortunately we have a lot of fuel, so I'm going to have to burn that. I didn't want to because that's going to detract from the reusability of this craft. So we get in, we get down below, we get into... the space station's at about 250 kilometers, and so I get to 250 kilometers, and man, that's actually, the station's actually pretty close. Set target. Look at how close our intersect is.
Yeah.
So we have to just set it up. I'm going to build my orbit out a little bit, and I kind of fucked this up because at some point I get close enough to the station that it says it takes me to target mode, and so when I fire prograde, I'm wondering why it's reducing my orbit. So I have to fire again, build my orbit out, and man, like, the farther I build my orbit out, the closer I get to being in sync with the station. And so I check this, and like, we haven't even done a single pass around, and just look at how close those pink arrows are getting. We're getting to 10
I'm
kilometers.
getting really nervous.
We're getting to 2 kilometers.
About Aldbury.
2 kilometers. We get to 2.2 kilometers, which is the closest rendezvous we've ever done. We do a brief fly around the planet to get in range. You can see the Bill Kerman space station there, that tiny dot on the horizon from about 1.9 kilometers away. So we fire a little bit of fuel. We're really running low on fuel at this point. We use our last little bit to start flying towards the station. 500 kilometers out.
This is worse than Armageddon.
400 kilometers out. You can see the space plane now, which is bigger than the entire station.
Christ.
It's 100, 150, getting down there. And so we realized the station's kind of set up in the wrong direction, but we do, and I want to use this one docking part that had a thing, and I realized that I kind of fucked up again, because since the probe was the central part of the station, that little thing I just decoupled was the central part the station was built around. When I decoupled that probe became named the station, and the station became the Bill Kerman Space Station ship.
Whatever.
Which now has a different time and is a different name and is a different anything. But anyway, we're getting close. We're within 6 meters. We have plenty of reaction control fuel. We're still at 13% rations because it took us maybe like, I don't know, 20 minutes to go around the planet. And so we set up our docking alignment adapter again, and we get ourselves set up. We try and get our rotation vector set up. We're between 16 and 17 meters from the station. We open up our docking adapter, and we just kind of head in and start firing a lot of correction burns to make sure we come in straight on, or as straight on as we can. Coming in at about 0.1 meters per second, which is actually as fast as our real spaceships actually come into. They usually do 0.1 or 0.05 meters per second when they dock with the space station. They dock a lot better though. This is a little off.
Oh well.
If you hadn't noticed, but it is slow enough that the little magnetic couplers do manage to grab the craft immediately, and soon after, the life support system of the station is now tied into the life support of the craft.
Oh yeah!
So Aldbury Kerman has successfully docked with the Bill Kerman Memorial Space Station.
Yeah!
And so he gets out, and we proceed to grab all the science off of the vehicle, because we're going to take that and use our orbital laboratory to process it and get more science out of it.
Oh yeah, yeah! Everything worked out. Everything worked out. It's a story of hope.
It's a Christmas miracle.
Oh wow!
In May.
Well, whenever this goes up.
Kerbal miracle.
June.
Yeah, one of those days.
Happy Christmas in July.
And one of the other nice things is because we have this docked too, we almost hit that solar panel and break it off, and we don't want to do that because those solar panels are important. One of the other nice things about the laboratory is you notice when I took the samples from the Science Junior and the goo canister.
Yeah.
It popped up a warning saying, once you extract science from this, it'll be rendered inoperable. Which is a thing they had to do because in previous versions it was very easy to just use the goo canister to get a whole bunch of science and then reset it, and then get a whole bunch more science and get like 700 science in like one run.
Whoa.
Without too much issue. So they made it so that it becomes inoperable after you use it once, unless you dock it to a station that has a science laboratory on it, and that will let you reuse your stuff. And so next time we'll process the science and we'll bring the space plane home.
Next time.
So until then, good night, Internet.
Good night. Good job.